let's take the case of trailing edge. So this is how your PWM looks like. PWM. This is your V control. This is your V. So once you reset the duty cycle, okay. So whenever your sawtooth crosses your control voltage, you reset, and then you wait for next edge, basically this edge, then you set the duty cycle again. So now think about if you once you reset the duty cycle, if there is any change in the V control, will it get reflected in within same cycle or not? You have to wait for next cycle. Okay. So now think about if you are operating at very low duty cycle and V control changes right after you reset the duty cycle. So how, I mean, your delay will get maximized in that case. And if you are operating at very close to 100%, then the time to reset to set the duty cycle again is very small. Okay, which means at lower duty cycle your delay is increased. So you have to wait for entire clock cycle almost. So which means your delay is one minus D into TSW. So if D equal to 0 or very close to 0, you have to wait for entire clock cycle, and if D is near 100%, then delay is almost 0.
If PCTR increases, then it might get what's it said?
No, but you will get a double pulsing, huh? So usually you use a flip flop to avoid that, because that is not a preferable thing. That will introduce noise, huh? Let's say your V control is changing quite frequently, it's going up and down, So your PWM will look very random in that case, and you want a very clean single tone frequency from your PWM. So from transient point of view, you can see that okay, it will respond, but that is not a preferred way of designing your. Usually use flip flop to synchronize it with your clock. So you don't want anything happen in between until the next clock edge comes. Okay. Otherwise, you will see a lot of harmonics in your output. And that's but in worst case, what? I mean, if increasing it may cross, but what about if it's reducing? So you have to always consider the worst case. So even if you are not worried about the, let's say, those harmonics, but still the worst case is that it will not respond. So you have to always look at the worst case. So that is your trailing edge. Now let's see what happens in the leading edge. And it's quite obvious, it should be opposite of that. So the delay would be d times, because here you are resetting, there you set the duty cycle. So you, from set point, whether it's your delay is always measured from the set point there, so it becomes d times. So when you are operating at near 100%, your delay is increased, and if you are, because your positive edge is moving, here your negative edge is moving, so that's the difference. So let me just draw it. Okay. So this edge is moving here. This edge. So now think about, let's say I am operating at high duty cycle. So this edge will come early, very close to your reset points. So now if my control voltage changes right after I reset my duty cycle, you have to wait for longer time. So your delay is d times TSW. So in the worst case, your delay is in both the cases 1 clock cycle or TSW. So that's the maximum delay. So this is another way of choosing between trailing and leading edge. If you know at where your duty cycle you are operating at all the time. So let's say I am operating very close to 100% or above 50%, you can say, then I would prefer trailing edge because delay will be less. But if I am operating below 50%, then leading edge is better in terms of delay. So your transient response will be better. Okay. So I have a simulation, but I don't know. I have a PDF actually, just to show you guys. So this is trailing edge. So what I am doing actually, I am giving a transient, load transient at different points. Before your duty cycle gets reset, after your duty cycle gets reset. So there are 3 differences. The worst case you are seeing, it was given after the duty cycle resets. Okay. So you can clearly see these are 3 different waveforms, and this red one, you can see the duty cycle gets reset here, and I give the load right after that, and you can see your transient response here, because your duty cycle will not respond and it has to wait for longer time before it responds. In the other, and this is right before the load I am applying right before the duty cycle resets. So in that case, what happens, your duty cycle has responded here and your transient response is better in that case. If you want to see the zoomed version, and you can see the duty cycle gets reset here and I give the load here right after that. That was the red case. Blue case was right before your duty cycle was supposed to reset and but I gave the load, so my duty cycle is stretched all the way, so it has responded right away. Okay, so in the dual edge case, this will look better because you are sampling at both sides, so you are basically rising and falling edge both can change. So your transient response may look better in that. So if you're operating, I mean your operating range is like of duty cycle is all the way from, let's say, close to 0 to 100%, then in terms of transient response you might get a better performance with dual edge modulation. But the problem with that will be change in the frequency, because you are changing both the edges, so frequency has to change. Okay. So pulse scale. It's also called PSI. So this is used in light load condition, or when duty cycle is saturated. So there could be two cases of your duty cycle saturation. One is you operate at very light load, you already know that how the response looks. Your V out equal to D times V in does not remain valid when it goes in DCM operation. Okay, so in that case you have to reduce the duty cycle, and then you define some minimum on time. So D min is basically controls your so let's say for 1 megahertz, if this is 1 microsecond, then I can say I'll keep T on min equal to, let's say, 50 nano, which is 5%, or D min 5%. Okay, so as your load starts reducing, you have to reduce the duty cycle to regulate the output, and you may hit the D min 5% of 50 nano. Beyond that, you don't have any room to reduce. So what do you need to do in that case? How can we still regulate? Change the frequency means I cannot change the on time, so I have to change the off time, which means increase the off time. So to operate T off must be increased. Okay. So one way is to reduce the switching frequency. While keeping T on fixed at T on. Okay. So what you do, if I have this, get missed, and pulse frequency modulation. So they are interrelated. I mean, these are two different ways of reducing the frequency or regulating the output under light load condition or when your duty cycle is saturated. So this is, let's say, case of D-min. So if I keep on time fix and I do this, what would happen? So let's say this is I load 1, this is I load 2, which is less than I load 1. Okay, and this is DCM operation. Because if it's in CCM, then output will be different in the two cases. But here our consideration is output is same and load is reducing, so we are operating in DCM. So what are we doing exactly here? We are only skipping a pulse. Okay. So what we did actually, so effectively your duty cycle is half. I mean, it will look like 2.5 instead of 5%. Okay, but the frequency will be half. So if you keep on time fix, and so can I do it digitally? I mean, I want to regulate. So let's say, I mean, I cannot get all the way from 5% to 2.5%. My output will drastically change because my load is not changing that drastically. So let's say the load is slowly reducing. So it has to be gradually, it's in continuous manner. So what can I do? I mean, how do I skip in that case? I cannot skip like alternate pulses in this case. What could be a different way of?
We must increase the FSW can be reduced.
No, I'm talking about, that is PFM. I want to skip the pulses and still keep a very high resolution. How can I do that? Think digitally.
Divided by 2.
Divide by 2. So can I say this is 1:1? What does it mean?
One skip means
D min is to 0. When you are skipping, it's a 0 duty cycle. And when you don't skip, D min. So for higher
14.
resolution, what do you do? Can I do 10 D min is to 0? So from D min, if I do 1:1, then you are going half. But I don't want to go half right away. I want to do, let's say, 0.9, 0.8, something like that. Okay, your load change is not going half right away. I mean, your load change is gradual. So let's say, so what you do? After every 10 cycle, you skip 1. So on an average, your duty cycle change is very small. Then you do 9 D min, 8 D min. Then eventually you will go 1:1. Okay. D min is to 0, which will, then after that what do you need to do? Further, if it your load further reduces. Now it 1:1. Then this will remain Dmin, and you do 2 pulses of 0%. Then 3 of 0% increase, and you can do, let's say, up to 10 of 0%. So 10 of 0% means, let's say, so for 10 microsecond you will see a flat 0 and you will get 1 pulse of Dmin. So this will look like a, much lower duty cycle. Na? Let's say that was 5%. It will look like less than 0.5% of, which is very difficult to achieve if you keep the frequency fixed. So this is basically a digital, discretely you do, and that's why we call it pulse skipping. You just keep skipping, and you can do digitally this. All you need just counter, and your counter count will keep on increasing or decreasing based on your load. That's it. So PSM is nothing but digital way of implementing PFM. In PFM, what you do, instead of V control controlling the what? Duty cycle, it controls only T off. Okay, because T on is fixed. So you can take your V control and change only off time based on that. And the simpler way to implement this, so I know that, and we know what is T off. T off is proportional to what? It's correct. Inversely proportional to load. And what would happen to the discharge rate at the output if the load gets lighter and lighter? It will increase, huh? So if I use a comparator, simple comparator, so if this is your V out, and this is nothing but your hysteretic comparator. You know hysteretic comparator, na? It's nothing but a windowed comparator. This is VREF. And this is your gate driver. Gate driver and FETs, everything I have included here. So you can think it's a power stage issue. This guy has a, let's say this has a plus minus delta V. Okay, so what would happen? When it goes below Vref plus delta V, so if this is your V out, and it has a load here, so it will be discharging like this. And if this is, let's say, delta V, then what would happen? This will trigger, comparator will trigger, and your output will charge again, and the moment it crosses delta V, it will again reset that, and internally you have that DCM mode operating, so you will turn off the FET if it has a reverse current. So everything is implemented here. We'll talk about that later, how you implement the basically the DCM or high Z mode. But for now you can think, So it will charge, and then what would happen? Here at this point, what would happen? Your inductor will try to discharge and current will get reversed, and you put it in high Z. Then again it will, in high Z it will again start discharging like this. So it will keep doing. And if you look at your PWM, it will be all the way 0. Let me draw different color. It will look something like this. Now think about if I reduce the load current. So this time will automatically stretch discharge time. So your pulses will come less frequently, or the overall frequency will automatically reduce. So that's what happens. So this is the way you implement the PFM mode, and instead of relying on the whole control, you can simply have a comparator in the feedback in the PFM mode. Okay, so you have to switch between PFM and PWM by switching over the control between the two.
DCM also, reason we have not hit D minimum, we can use the same control that we were using in CCM.
Yeah, you can use, so you, but that control has to control the off time. That's what I mentioned here.
No, till we have not hit the D min and we are operating in DCM. Then
Yeah, that's how it happens. You switch over the control when you hit the D min only, because you don't have any room after that. But let's say you are operating at 50% duty cycle, you enter the DCM, so your loop will automatically try to reduce V control unless you hit the V control min, for which you get them. But after that you don't have any room, it will saturate. So then you have to enter PFM or pulse skip mode, you don't have any other option. So whether you want to enter the PFM mode right, you enter the DSM, or you enter the D min, that is basically a part of analysis you have to do. See that where you exactly you get the better efficiency. Because let's say you enter the PFM mode right at the beginning of DCM, then at that point your load current will be relatively higher compared to when you have a load current at D min. And you try to reduce the frequency at higher load current, then your conduction losses may increase. So it's a part of analysis you have to do, whether at what point you really want to enter to get a flatter efficiency. So let's say the moment you enter the PFM at DCM, your efficiency may slightly dip and then will start increasing when load gets lesser. You don't want to do that actually. You want your efficiency to look flatter. So you have to do your analysis based on your V in, V out, everything. So it depends on a lot of things, because your DCM boundary will also depend on your inductor value, your V in, V out, everything. So and load current. So that's how basically you decide. But you can always use the same loop to control to build your PFM mode. The only thing is that V control is changing the off time. So and V control has certain range, it may saturate, but here it can take care of any off time. It doesn't matter how long it is, because you are only relying on capacitor discharge time, that's it. But if you look at a V control, if V control hits, let's say your T off is proportional to V control, so it will keep increasing, at some point it may saturate. So that's why most of the time we implement this way, so that it doesn't saturate. And there is one more reason. Let's say your V in, V out remains roughly same, it's not changing. So when your load is basically applied again, you will enter PWM mode or CCM mode. So your control voltage will be roughly same where you left actually. Now if you are using the same control voltage to control the PFM mode, that control voltage has changed, you have lost the previous value. So your error amplifier has to slew and your transient response may look very bad. So that's why you want to keep your V control voltage charge around the same value which you actually want when the load comes again. So that's why we usually prefer this method to build the PFM, and this is also called burst mode actually. I mean, you are saying what you are doing. I mean, you are sending the burst of pulses and then going quiet. So you sending pulse and going quiet. So that's why burst of pulses. Sometimes we call it burst mode also. And this is how you implement the hysteretic control, non-linear. This is a non-linear control. There is no linear component in the feedback. Only comparator which is non-linear.
Compared to like design using symmetrical, isn't it basically like symmetrical compared?
Yeah. Hysteretic comparator is nothing but symmetrical. Huh? So most of the time we don't even keep this lower window actually. Do you guys remember the droop compensation? I talked about it. Huh? So when you are at the light load, you want to regulate at slightly higher voltage. So let's say I only keep the plus delta V. So I keep a Vref and plus delta V, that's it. So my lower threshold will be Vref not Vref minus delta V. Then you will be always regulating between Vref and Vref plus delta V, slightly higher. So whenever load comes, so that you get extra room for that undershoot actually. So I mean, it's up to you. I mean, what kind of spec you are looking for, whether you really need droop compensation or not. You can decide whether you want to have a hysteretic window between plus minus delta V or between Vref plus delta V. So one reason we use PFM or pulse skip mode, that under light load condition your duty cycle is saturated to minimum and you are forced to change the off time or skip the pulses in order to regulate the output. So another case would be like even in high load condition you may saturate the duty cycle. So let's say, so using PSM in CCM. So high load means you are operating in continuous conduction mode. So example is your V out is pretty close to V in or VDD. Okay. And D is limited to D max, which could be, let's say, 90 to 95%. Just like we were limiting D min to 5% or 10%, similarly you limit your max duty cycle to 90 to 95%. By the way, why do we want to limit duty cycle? Why not just leave it on its own? Yeah, so you have a certain delay in your loop which might be due to your finite on time, and you have in the power stage in the non-overlap clock generator you have certain delays there, then your comparator has delay. So if you count everything together, you have to allow some minimum time to operate those circuits. If your total on or off time goes below than I mean it's basically less than the delay in the circuit, those circuits will not work. I mean they will not respond to that, and what would happen, your circuit loop will be almost dead in that case, it's not responding. So it will have some kind of a non-linear behavior. It will try to recover after that. So let's say you are hitting a minimum duty cycle 5% or let's say below, and your loop is not responding because your logic gates and comparators require little bit more time to respond. So what would happen actually in that case, in that particular cycle, it will look like you have skipped that cycle. So what will happen if you skip that cycle, your control voltage has to change because your error is not recovered. Whatever error you have, I mean you have to correct that. So if it does not get corrected, then your compensator will try to respond because you have a very high gain amplifier in the feedback. So it will try to change and then it will increase the duty cycle. But the problem would be, let us say your desired operation is maybe like 5% continuous, but that will happen in that case randomly. I mean it's basically you do not have any control over that. So you do not know how much control voltage will change. It may change large, it may force duty cycle may be very large, and then next cycle it will allow a very long off time. I mean your basically your pulses will be skipped for too many cycles. So that is very highly uncontrolled and you may see a large ripple in the output, and you do not want that to happen. So that is why you basically operate in a very controlled pulse skip manner or PFM manner, so that your frequency is gradually changed based on the load current. Okay, so this is the another case where you are operating at a, let us say, full load and you are hitting D max, and this will happen if your output is very close to input VDD. Okay, so let us say the required duty cycle is more than 95%. So you will hit and then there you want to skip the pulses. So what would happen? So let us say you are operating at very high duty cycle. So this is your PWM, and what you do actually, you skip, and let us say this is D equal to 95%. Skip, alternate pulses. So it's I am doing 1:1 here, but you can apply the same concept like n:1 to get a better resolution. So I am looking for higher duty cycle, more than 95%. So what do I need to do? I mean in the earlier case when you are operating at light load, you are forcing that to 0. Here when you are skipping pulses, where do you want to force? 100%, huh? So this will be 100% and then and this will remain high here. Okay. So this is 95%, 100%, 95%. So on an average, so what is D average? Hmm? 97.5. So 95 plus 100. Now if you skip like 2 pulses, then your average will be different. So you can keep increasing the duty cycle, average duty cycle according to that. So and eventually at the end, let us say now I am having 1 cycle of 95% and 10 cycle of 100%. that will look like 95% also. And then after that, oh sorry, 99%. So, and then after that, you are close to 100% and you can go jump to 100% when you are close to 100%. So, that is how you enter from 95 to 100%. Yeah, if you just force 95 to 100% right away, then you are seeing a 5% jump in the duty cycle. So, you will see a large overshoot in the output. You do not want that to happen. And this is true for if your output voltage, required output voltage is much lower. So, let us say 1.8 volt and you are looking for less than 5% duty cycle, which is like 50 to 60 millivolt, let us say output required, even though it's not practical to have that kind of a regulated voltage, but in some cases where you use envelope basically follower kind of thing, so envelope tracking, where you want your supply to track the signal actually, behavior of the signal. So, you may require like maybe 100 millivolt or so. So, in that case your duty cycle requirement might be very low. So, if you remember, we need to turn off the bottom FET when it enters the DCM or inductor current gets reversed, because we do not want to have a reverse current in the inductor, otherwise we will lose some more losses there, more power there, and will reduce our efficiency. So, for due to efficiency reason, we do not want inductor current to get reversed. So, which means we need to detect the what is the zero cross, because what is happening when the inductor current gets reversed. So, this is your power FET. VSW node, what will happen if the current gets reversed? So, initially your current direction is this, okay, from ground to output. So, the IR drop here will be negative. So, VSW will be minus whatever the not the body, when it is on, it will be the RDS on multiplied by your, and that will be negative. So, the moment it gets reversed, it will become positive, because now you are dumping the current in that FET, which has a RDS on of let us say very small 50 to 100 milliohm. So, you will see this voltage going from negative to positive. So, which means if I am able to detect the zero cross, then I can detect whether it is entering DCM or not, or the load I have applied, it will meet the boundary condition of your CCM DCM. Okay. So, below that load you will have to operate in DCM. So, which means if I have a comparator and I connect the positive terminal to this and compare with the ground. So, the moment it goes more than 0, it will detect and I need to turn it off. So, how do I turn it off? So, the logic I have is simply a flip flop. So, what do I need to do? I need to first thing, I need to sample this voltage only during off time, because during on time I know this will always be high. So, it may give you the false output, okay, even though it is off, but then when your duty cycle is changing, you have to recover from that. You have to make sure that this device is turning on again. So, that is why we only sample this voltage during off time. So, now this is your, when this is high, this, so you can think about this is basically nothing but the driving the buffer, which is basically forcing this gauge voltage to high or low to turn it on or off. So, when this is high, what would happen? You want this device to turn on. So, this clock is high, it will, Q will be 1, because D is connected to VDD, it will be high. When this goes low, okay. So, no, sorry, PWM is, when the PWM is low, this is high actually, okay. So, you can think about this is your non-overlap clock output. I am drawing this buffer separately, the gate driver actually, but this is a, I mean eventually this everything will go in a same circuit, it will be part of your non-overlap clock generator and gate driver, but just conceptually I am drawing just to show how you turn off the gate, but there could be multiple logics to do that actually. This is just a one logic I am showing you. So, when this is on, this is high, what you are doing actually, you are looking for this voltage to go high and you reset it. So, the moment this crosses 0 volt, okay, goes above 0, this comparator will go high and it will reset the signal and the gate will be pulled to low. And now when your PWM goes high, okay, so you have to make sure this is, so this is will be low, it gets reset, okay. So, I mean even though it will be low, but this is another protection we have applied, that during when you have a turning on the PMOS, you have to make sure this is not turned on, okay. So, because if you are operating in a normal CCM mode, then you have to reset this gate when PMOS is turning on. So, because now we are not forcing this VPWM directly to the gate. So, this reset will take care of that actually, okay. So, there could be different ways to implement that. Sometimes, I mean, when you know you are putting in a high Z, when this is turned off, this is also turned off during off time. So, you can apply this logic outside globally, which will turn off both the FETs. That is also possible actually. So, you can implement in different ways. So, this is one way to implement high Z. So, which means the important thing is, I mean, forget about what logic it has, you can think of any other logic and apply it. Just to the important thing is here, you need a 0 cross comparator, okay, and we have certain requirement on this. And if you look at I mean conceptually, this is nothing but behaving like a diode, because it is allowing only during forward current and reverse current is blocked, because diode will not conduct. And sometimes we call it like a diode, ideal diode or active diode. There are certain products also on this from TI and other companies, they call it active diode, because now it, I mean theoretically it does not have any forward voltage. The moment you detect the 0, you turn it off. So, there is no drop across the diode, the only drop will be the IR drop, the current is flowing and that will be very low. So, now you can make the diode, I mean make RDS on very low, think about like 1 amp current and make it, let us say 10 milliohm kind of. So, only 10 millivolt drop, which is not possible to get with any diode actually.